I don't know. We had a couple practices last week, and we're getting ready for game week this week, so not a whole lot different from where we were this time a week ago. Sorry about that. What do y'all got? Go ahead. I don't have a lot because.
What is this like? All this time off?
Yeah, it's interesting. My wife liked it. She got to see me some. My kids, they thought that was kind of cool. No, I think a lot of it is just how you manage it and how the team manages it, and for us. And I think we've utilized the time wisely. I think we're getting in now to a stretch of, the next 8 games are conference games. There's one bye week, so it's like we said, it's almost like that. I talked to the team. The season really kind of starts today. This is now going to be a very different setup than what we've gone through. And, with bye weeks, non-conference games, the training, all of that stuff, this is going to get us into a very different schedule, very different routine in games that are critical in the, obviously, Mountain West Conference. You look at the success our teams are having, just shows the depth and how great a league this is. So I think that's the different, and I think our guys have taken the right approach to that.
Coach, during the bye week, do you prepare at all for, say, Air Force and sprinkle in like some of what they do, or how do you approach it?
Well, we do. I mean, just being the first time for all of us in the league, kind of looking ahead, we looked ahead at several teams of just kind of getting an idea of where outliers are. What are things, in Air Force, for example, that's going to run option football. As teams that are running a lot of I formation or 12 or 22 personnel, power football teams. Those type of things that we haven't gone against, just to, the same thing defensively of getting the different looks defensively of how teams will play that we haven't seen or gone against yet, to just kind of put in some of our base stuff against those looks. More so than this is our game plan against this team. Hey, this is some thoughts of how we're going to see and play the different teams.
Speaking of defense, can you tell us what you saw on film on Wyoming's defense? I saw against Utah, they held them to just a field goal. It was a 3-0 game at halftime.
Yeah, they're one of the top defenses in the league. You look at it, and I think giving up like 16, 17 points a game or something like that. Very, very stout. Physical defense up front with the ability to stop the run. They're going to give you a lot of different looks, both fronts and coverages on the back end to try to confuse the quarterback, play extremely hard, have some skilled guys on the back end that can cover. So, when you look at it and statistically you look at them, obviously through their played 4 games like us, one of the top defenses in the Mountain West Conference. So it's going to be a challenge for us that we're going to have to come in and execute and play clean for 4 quarters. I think, if you kind of have some of the hiccups we've had during the season, they're going to shut you down. They'll be that talented that they'll just completely shut us down. So we're going to have to be consistent and perform.
Coach, speaking about consistency, talk about entering conference play. What consistency do you want to see each week with schedule times and just kind of building those habits?
Well, we're on schedule time now, so we'll be kind of set for the rest of the year with our schedule for the players, with how we do things. Obviously, we have a Friday night game. So we've had one of those already, so we'll kind of know what the schedule is for that a little bit. That'll be the only kind of tweak on the back end of the season, but it's kind of near the very end. And then you have the Thanksgiving, which is sometimes a different schedule week. But I think we have classes all the way through Wednesday, so that probably won't affect our deal. A lot of times, sometimes we've tweaked that week a little bit at the end. But I think it allows us to get very set on a schedule week in and week out of, even the post game. Transitioning from one game to the next game, to the next game, to the next game, where, we've kind of, came out of training camp with a game. Then you had a short week game, then you had, because you had a short week game, you had an extra day game, and then you had a bye week game, This is coming off a bye week. So I think moving forward, we'll get very set on our kind of transition from one week to the next and in kind of your in-season schedule.
looking back at the Miami-Ohio game, down 14 three times in that game, Anthony Calandria, what do you expect from him in Mountain West play, his confidence moving forward?
Well, I just think for the team, you want to see what we've seen, which is their composure, their ability to go compete, whatever the situation, whoever it is we're playing, that we're out there ready to compete and continue to grow. I think a lot of times now, we have 4 games in of running our offense and running our defense for anybody on the roster. That's it. So not a lot of experience for these guys and of running the system. So I think there's going to hopefully you just see that growth and more comfort and improvement from one week to the next. We got to play much better against Wyoming than we did against Miami if we expect to win the game. But that gets into our consistent growth throughout the season.
Did you see any effects of the bye week in the Miami game? And if so, did you change anything for this bye week looking ahead to Wyoming?
No, the Miami week again, it was you're looking at little things and little, on both sides of the ball, like little mistakes here or there. And did we, when we followed our plan to win, we followed the plan to win, we were extremely successful, right? I mean, if you go to the second half of that game, you take away the pick six and the kickoff return, which are kind of critical error plays, it was 31-0. Those are critical error plays. Ball tipped, pick six, like that wasn't like, hey, that 9-play drive, they went on to score that one, right? And then, misfit kickoff coverage. Okay, and that allows a touchdown. So, I think it's very easy. Like I've always said, it's been very easy to point to where our issues are, and majority of them, which is great, are football issues that when we go out and say, hey, listen, it's, the funny one is we had great fits on other kickoff coverages. Right? I think 3 tackles inside the 20 and then a return. So guy went the wrong. You did it right a couple times. We did it wrong on this one. They're very coachable moments that you kind of love of the consistency of performance.
So during the Miami game, we got pretty intense on the sidelines with defense, with some of the shortcomings at times. And you told me at the half, we're not coaching real well right now on defense. So in this bye week, what did you guys work on? Is it more on the field or more off the field and organization?
No, I think it's the on the field because we're not to me, a guy being where they're supposed to be is coaching, right? that's asking a guy to jump over someone's head, do a backflip and catch a ball. That's not really coaching. You don't coach that, right? Are you in the gap you're supposed to be in with the proper technique you're supposed to use? That's coaching and teaching. So I think that was the biggest deal for us. And and a lot is the reps, of looking at this time and saying, hey, if you can do it right once, right, you do it right every time. Don't do it till you get it right. Do it till you can never do it wrong, and just kind of do it exactly right. If we give up plays because they jump over us and make a spectacular play, or they have a guy that's just a talented player that makes 3 guys miss or runs us over, that's one thing. If the other parts are things that we can control, and there are times in that game we didn't fit real well. When we did, you saw in the second half, they didn't move the ball an inch.
Coach, you already mentioned Wyoming's defense, definitely something you guys are looking out for. Both teams coming off a bye week, on top of the fact that it's the first conference game for both teams. Does that limit the amount of mistakes that you guys can make out on the field, and how do you emphasize that to the players?
Well, I don't know that it does any more than any other game. We've been pretty fortunate that we've been mentally tough enough to overcome mistakes that we've made in games and found ways to win. And I think that is something that I'm really happy with. To sit there and say, listen, our goal is to play a perfect game. I don't know that exists, but it's our goal to go and achieve to go play a perfect game in all 3 phases. So, to limit mistakes is critical. Hopefully we do. And I don't know more so in one game than the next, because every game's every game. If you come in and you play really well, I like good football. So if we play really well, we can expect to win. If we make a lot of mistakes, you can expect you probably put you in a position not to.
Coach, Calandria is coming in here, and I wanted to know, He's coming in next. He might have a different answer too, but how much freedom do you give him to check off and what have you?
It depends on the play. There's some that, there is. I think we have good communication. I don't think he's to the point where I've had some guys where he can just go do whatever he wants. But we have a lot of plays that have checks in them, that he's got to check us. He checks us into the right play during the game. Checks us into the right protections, the right plays, run plays to pass plays to run plays, run play to run play, different pass plays, so that stuff's a lot built into what we see, and he changes and controls that out there on the field once we call it. So, I think in the future, he's certainly a guy that would get it once give him another year or two, and he'll have a lot more of that freedom. If that makes sense, to kind of do what he wants to do. Fantastic. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late. Something.
No crumble cookie questions today.
No crumble. That was like too bad. Huh? I know. I gotta get my pub out there. No questions about my tweet. You guys see that thing last night?
Saw your tweet. Didn't know what it was.
I was like, whoa, what's that? I'm like, you could see it was like a spaceship launch or something. I was like, whoa, it was really cool.
In your backyard, you saw that.
Area 15.
I know, it's coming right out of Area 15.
I sure do.
For Southwest, like a normal airline, it's like $612. Ridiculous. And then driving is like 900 miles. Like 15 hours round trip. So like I did literally everything, like where I would stay, like from my house, where I would stay, where I stay, stadium, back from my stay, back home. It's a 900 mile and like 15 hours. Without traffic. And it's in the winter, with snow, everything like that. So, doesn't sound like it'd be fun. I'm already going to Reno. So it's close.
So what?
Anthony, Coach talked about first conference game, ramping up the intensity. Can you just talk about that coming in this week and kind of preparing now for 8 games and 9 weeks that mean a lot?
Yeah, no, Wyoming's a really good football team. And I feel like our football team has handled the bye week, the 2 bye weeks that we have really well. And I think this week we just got to prepare at a high level to get ready for Wyoming.
What about the bye weeks do you feel like you and your team have done particularly well? And this is for both of you guys.
Yeah, no, I think you got to handle success at a high level. You can't let success, just because we're 4-0, let everyone get super high. I think our football team has stayed right here the whole time, and I felt like that's so big for us just because you're 4-0, it doesn't mean anything. We haven't played a conference game, so we've really started the season this week, so it's big for us to prepare Monday through Thursday and then go execute this Saturday.
I think the difference between us versus other teams is that other teams can look at the bye week like it's a time to relax, when we think it's a chance to like pivot step and grow more during that time, so we're ready for the next games.
For both players, we didn't have a chance to talk to you after the Miami, Ohio game. What do you take away from that game, being down 14 3 times in that game?
Yeah, no, it shows a lot about our football team being down. It's tough to be down how we did, but it's awesome to see that no one on our football team pointed fingers. There was never an argument between the offense or defense. It was just we had to execute to go win the game, and the offense, defense, and special teams found a way to win, so that was huge for us.
I think that it was an obvious point that we should have started faster and we should have got everything rolling quicker, but I'm just really proud of how everybody like stuck together and didn't blame anybody, and we
rallied up the troops and were able to get everybody on the same page. So it was great.
Looking good. So we can see your face. Anthony, can you talk about just the balance of Coach Mullen's offense working with Coach Dennis and just trying to balance the run and the pass?
Yeah, no, I feel like Coach Mullen and Coach Dennis do a great job for preparing me and our offense to execute at a high level and just giving easy access throws, easy runs to create explosive plays. And Coach Dennis is awesome. I've never been with a coach like him my whole life, and it's awesome to have him in my corner, so it's big time.
For both of you guys, just going up to Wyoming, playing in that elevation, how much of a factor is that, if any?
Yeah, no, it's big time. So for that, I got me, the running backs and the receivers, elevation masks. So after practice, we'll run with those and get used to that elevation just because it's at 7,000 feet, I think it is. So that's pretty high, and we're only 2,000 feet here, so it's huge. So honestly, after practice, we'll get adjusted to that.
Well, I'm sure that our defensive coaches will be interpreting some pursuit drills this week and getting us ready for the high elevation for sure. That's usually the case. So we're excited to get everything rolling and get prepared for this game.
For both of you guys, this is the first trip since 2019 to Laramie, so nobody on the team's been up there. Have you talked to anybody what it's like playing there, what the atmosphere, the remoteness of the place and all that?
I heard it's a beautiful place to be. Wyoming's super pretty, but no, I heard it's a great atmosphere there, and they're loud, and so that's going to be fun to play in a good environment. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, I've heard that their fans are really stuck by their team, and it's going to be a loud and awesome environment. I think we're all excited just to get out there and have another chance to prove ourselves, especially in this conference play.
How would you guys describe the hunger level that you have too? And I know you're not focused on the end result of the season. You take it one game at a time, but what is the hunger level like to make it back to the title game, have a different outcome?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's crazy because this whole football team's new. We have over 60 transfers, so it's really not the same team as last year. And after each week, no one's satisfied after a win. Everyone wants more. So I feel like that's so big for our program and big for the players that after every win, you just see the guys, like everyone wants to play another game. Like we hate bye weeks here. We want to play every week. But no, it's just awesome. I just love these guys.
Lucas, just working with Coach Logo and the improvements you've seen this week during the bye week, down 14-0 on the road out the gate. What do you want to see from your team this week?
Well, first of all, I'd like to see a strong start, and that comes from me. That comes from all our players on the D-line, considering that we consider ourselves the front of the team, the front line, and we have to set the tone. That's what we want to do. We want to game and just be able to manage the game with our aggressiveness and our toughness. That's how we are.
Anthony, last week we were asking Coach about the efficiency on third downs, and you picked up 9 straight. So even when you have, a long yardage situation on third down, what do you tell the team in the huddle to get them inspired? How do they know? I know Coach said that you practice a lot of situational football, but how do you prepare to pick up like a 3rd and 13, 3rd and 16 to move the chains?
No, I think the biggest thing is that third down is a huge part of the football game, and I tell our guys that if we can convert third down at a high level, that we'll win the football game. And versus Miami, Ohio, and versus everyone that we've played, we've converted at a super high level. And I think we're up there in the country at a high percentage. And that's big time just for us as a program. If you convert on third down at a high level, you got a pretty good dang offense. So that's big time for us.
The other question is, Coach was talking about your freedom within the offense. You can check off. Can you talk a little bit about some of the freedom that you do have? And Coach said there are some plays where you do go in and you have that ability to check off, and that role is going to grow.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to have that. I really didn't have that at my previous school, so to have the freedom to check into a play that I like or get into a different play from a different look. So that's awesome to have. And Coach Dennis and Coach Mullen to trust me, that's big time.
From afar, did you know anything about the Mountain West? Have you watched any other game? I mean, you guys watch games, but do you know much about it?
I really don't, to be honest with you, because just because playing the ACC for 2 years, you really just watch the ACC football games just like that. But no, it's awesome though to be in this conference.
Lucas, you know more about it. I mean, what about this conference that impresses you?
I would say that the difference between, from what I've seen just being here in the Mountain West for the years I am here, is that it's a bunch of little hungry teams that are striving to prove themselves and striving to get in the big leagues and striving to compete against the biggest of the biggest. So I would consider ourselves among that group, and it's one of the groups that is trying to get there and get to the top. And at the end of the day, it's survival of the fittest, right? As soon as we get out there, it's who wants it more, who wants to get to those games at the end of the year that really matter.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you.